Hey everybody, Lucas Haneman here. Welcome to this week's episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday, where I'm going to give you guys a studio/gigging musician's perspective on this amplifier right here. This is the Monoprice Stage Right 15 watt all tube amplifier. Now, this amplifier is probably the most affordable tube amplifier you guys are ever going to find on the new or used market. Regularly on Monoprice's website, these sell for $249 American. And on the Canadian market, I've seen them as low as $200 used. So very, very reasonable price, extremely affordable price. So I'm going to go through the good, the bad, the ugly, and tell you guys my honest opinion on this amplifier. And we're going to go through it with 3 different tones, with 3 different guitars. A Partscaster Telecaster, a Yamaki Les Paul Performer, and a very, very nice boutique Strat style guitar. So we have 2 very affordable guitars mixed with affordable amplifier, and then we're going to hear how nice it can sound with a very nice Strat style guitar made by Melancon. So let's start off with the Telecaster. Now the Stage Right 15 has controls for gain, volume, tone, bass, middle, treble, reverb, which is a spring reverb by the way, and it has this handy 1 watt switch right here, which switches the amplifier from 15 watts down to 1 watt. As you guys could hear in that first playing example, I had it set to an edge of breakup tone. And I really enjoy this amplifier in that kind of ilk. It definitely sounds like the amplifier it's made to replicate, which is a Fender Blues JR. But because of the fact that this amp actually has 2 EL84s, it sounds a little bit voxy as well. So I really like that kind of bright, jangly Americana sound with the Tele. It sounds great in my opinion. Now, where this amplifier kind of doesn't do quite as well as it could, again, let's consider the price point, right? It's not very expensive, is when you get the volume up and then, and you start to kind of gain the amplifier, juice it up, it gets a little bit fizzy. So there's a certain point here where you can only get this volume control up to about, in my opinion, 50% before it starts getting a little bit woolly. But you do get a very usable sound that way, where you could take this amplifier out to a blues jam and you could really enjoy using your volume control, your tone controls on your guitar, and get a very usable sound. So let's hear that now with the Yamaki Performer Les Paul. There's the amp with more reverb, more of everything, as you can hear. I had the volume and the gain both at about 50% on that last example. And I was really playing around with the controls on my guitar to see what it had to offer. And I gotta say, I was really impressed. I would take the amplifier out to a blues jam, and that guitar, I would play that all night long and be happy, especially if I was mic'd up. You know, I think you could play with a moderate to loud drummer with those settings and be heard, but certainly if you're mic'd up, it's going to help the situation with a 15-watt amplifier. That's the limit to which I would take the gain on this amplifier. I would not push it too far past that point, because then it's going to start to get fizzy. But at that point, you know, with humbuckers, you're good. You're good to go all day long, in my opinion. Especially if you play that kind of bluesy style like that. But what are my final opinions on this amplifier? Well, let's talk about the positives first. I think that this is a great gigging amplifier. It actually astounds me how good it is for the price. It is amazing. I mean, as you can hear, with the first example being the edge of breakup sound, and then that most recent example being kind of a distorted sound, I would gig with that all day long. I think it's great. I think that the amplifier comes in at a price point where you can't really do too much wrong. Now, we don't know how well this amplifier will stand the test of time. We do not know how the components will last. It's just too new at this point to know. Although, if you do own one of these amplifiers, don't hesitate to let me know in the comment section below what your experience has been like. What are the bad points, though? Well, as Daryl Braun said in his review of this amp, the components are cheap. Of course they are for the amount of money you're spending. The knobs are kind of a cheap plastic. The amplifier is probably made from particle board because it's very light, although my back likes that, and if I were bringing this to gigs, I would really enjoy that. But the biggest downfall with this amplifier, in my opinion, is the fact that it has a noise floor, meaning there is some constant hum that you hear, just a whooshy sound, especially when you get the gain and the volume really working on this thing. It certainly has some background noise. So is it an ideal contender for recording? No. I would not use this amplifier on a recording, especially if it was going to go out to, many, many people and be mixed by a great mixing engineer. But would I bring it out and gig with it? Yes, all day long. The final thing I do not like about this amplifier is the power cord. As Daryl Braun said in his review of this amp, it's a little thin, it's hardwired to the amplifier, and my thing that I don't love about it is it's not that long, really. So if you're going to put your amplifier up on a chair, you need to have a power bar very close by or an extension cord to plug it into the wall. Is that a deal breaker? No, not for this price. I mean, it really is amazing what you get for the money you spend. So let's move on to the final playing example. For this example, I kind of went all out. I got one of my favorite guitars I own, which is my red Melancon guitar. It's a Strat style guitar. It always stays in tune. It just sounds fantastic. And I decided in this example, I'm going to use the amplifier as a clean platform for pedals. So I have a little bit less reverb on the amp. And I use a Kingsley Minstrel Tube Overdrive pedal to goose it a little bit at a certain point. And I also use a Strymon Lex for some rotary sounds, just to hear how the amplifier reacts to that as well. The amplifier was mic'd up today with this microphone. This is an Audix i5. Now, these are marketed as snare drum microphones. The Audix company makes microphones for drums. But I love this amplifier, this microphone on an amplifier. It really is a secret weapon for me. It's around the same price as an SM57 by Shure, and it's got a very nice kind of more natural frequency response, in my opinion. It's got a little bit more top end, a little bit more bass, but a little bit less mids, and I find the guitar just really sits in the mix nicely with this thing. So if you're in the market for a relatively affordable microphone, check one of these things out. That's about it for this week. We'll see you guys and girls next Tuesday. Enjoy. Thank you.